Cole.
You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get down.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 269 of the Rotten Views podcast. Hopefully you guys are all having a great day, great morning, great afternoon, whenever you're listening to this podcast. If you're a returning listener, thank you for showing up each and every single week. Hopefully you enjoyed last week's episode, because I sure did a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend you still check it out as well. If you're a first-time listener, thank you for taking the time to check out the podcast. Hopefully you enjoy this episode, and if you do, if you enjoy listening to me talk about movies and pretending like I know what I'm doing, make sure to go check out the back catalog of other episodes, because I have a ton of other fun, silly, and sometimes horrible movies that you can check out for yourself to see if my opinion is right or if I'm just an idiot that doesn't know what he's even talking about. But I do enjoy bad movies, so I probably give, bad movies a little bit higher score, depending. It all depends on what's in the movie and if there's something that really interests me. Just like last week's episode, Boneyard. It wasn't a great movie to watch really at the end of the day, but the actual prosthetics and practical effects and the creature designs, that chef kiss, that's the kind of things I enjoy. Just like Microwave Massacre. Wasn't that good of a movie, but it was a silly concept at least, so there's little things like that I pick at, because I'm just a guy who likes really bad movies, and I just think they're enjoyable. But at the end of the day, I know a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into all these movies that are created for the most part, so I try not to shit on the movies too much, because I just understand that a lot of effort and work goes into things. It's just like doing, drawings and whatnot, and having people pick little sections apart. So I understand it as being a creative person as well, so I always try to be the nicer of the two. I'm actually recording this one on November 1st, about 6:30 in the morning. Hopefully you guys had a good Halloween last night. Ours was alright. I took our daughter out for about 45 minutes roughly, but the amount of rain and really cold rain and then heavy winds, it kind of made it a little bit miserable. But at least every house that she went to, the people were just dumping stuff in. It wasn't like one or two candies. It was like, here, take half the bowl, because we're probably not going to see anyone else, which is fine. It made her time enjoyable. The people handing out candy had fun, and at the end of the day, you just try to make the best of a bad situation and go from there. But hopefully wherever you guys were, hopefully it was a little bit nicer weather if you had trick-or-treaters, or if you're out trick-or-treating with family and whatnot. Hopefully it was a fun time. But before we do get too far into the podcast, let's do a little bit of housekeeping like we like to do each and every single week. Get that out of the way so you guys don't have to listen to it. Some people probably fast forward to it. I don't know. If you do, that's fine.
Housekeeping?
Don't think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towels?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
The first thing I'm going to put out there, if you guys want to follow me on any social media accounts, feel free. I'm on pretty much all of them. At Typhonstein. The links will be down in the description below, but you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, X, Threads, TikTok, whatever it might be. You can also follow the Rotten Views Instagram page. It'll be linked down below as well, where I post the On This Day in Horror history posts each and every single day. I might have missed 1 or 2 days here and there, but I'm pretty good at it. Pretty good at keeping everything. Usually I do 7 of them and schedule them out for the week. That way I don't have to go back each and every single day. So there's a lot of fun content there as well. and we're going to be doing some more reels with that as well. If you want, feel free to check out the YouTube channel as well. It's at Typhonstein. It'll be linked down in the description below, of course. But we have the weekly game video that drops every single Wednesday. I have old episodes of the podcast dropping every single Monday. We have various shorts over there as well. You can check out the Lunchbox surprise series I do for my daughter. It's in the short category as well. We also have the history posts in the community tab as well if you want to check them out there. We do the occasional live stream. I haven't been doing a lot of live streams lately. Been kind of cutting back on them a little bit. Been doing pre-recorded content to make the Wednesday videos, so those are still coming out every single week. I'm trying to get it so I can do an extra day of gaming videos, so we'll see how that works out. I'm just trying to get them all edited and ready to go. One-man team over here. One-man team. That's all I am. You know, I do all the editing, I do all the recording, everything myself, all the thumbnails, everything. But you can also check out all my other various artwork on Instagram as well, or usually in the short section on YouTube, because I like to just post them as little short reels. And the last thing we're going to promote, or second last thing I should say we're going to promote, check out the CWC, Canadian Wrestling Championship page, over on Instagram and Facebook for all your wrestling content. We're going to be talking about Halloween Havoc, because, you know, that's one of the WCW's coolest pay-per-views, I think, in my personal opinion. Let me know down below in the comments over there if you enjoy it as well. And the last thing, if you want to buy some merch, check out the T public link down below. We got the Rotten Views Podcast logo shirt on tie-dye, pretty cool, not gonna lie. We also have the Charlie Brown Predator design as well, and John Candy design, so definitely go check those out. And I'm not going to leak the neck design that's coming out because it's taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to, so you know, that's just my luck. Yeah, it is what it is. But with all that being said, make sure to subscribe if you can to any of the podcast platforms. That helps out a lot. But you know the thing that helps out the most? If you could, depending on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, just hit that share button. That share button does help out the podcast a lot. Helps it get it out to more eyes and ears and more listeners. We just want to make a community of like-minded people who all enjoy the same things. So, and if you're on Spotify, because I know Spotify has a star rating, if you want to leave a 5-star, that's awesome. I would appreciate that. If you want to leave a 4-star, that's cool too. 3 stars, fine. You want to leave the dreaded 1-star because you hate me, I understand. It's fine. I'll just 1v1 you in Texas Chainsaw Massacre before the game dies. I'll be one of the family members, probably Leatherface because he has a chainsaw. And you can be one of the survivors. Maybe it could be Sunny. I'll try to find you. I actually haven't played that game in a while, so you probably whoop my ass. But that's besides the point. If you want to leave the 1-star, go ahead. That means war, but that's fine. If you're on Apples or iTunes, feel free to leave a review. Castbox, I'm not sure if they have a review system, but like I said, if you want to help out the podcast at all, just hit that share button or subscribe on any of the various podcast platforms, and that does help out a lot. And thank you very much for taking time out of your day to listen to me talk about movies and pretend that I know what I'm doing, even though we're almost 300 episodes in and I still act like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun at it. So that's, at the end of the day, I think having fun making the content is probably the main thing about doing the podcast. You want to have fun. You want to make it a job, because once you start making it a job, then you kind of lose the joy and the will to want to do it. Personally, me, I could probably record like 3 episodes in a day if I had enough time. But for me, I'm a little bit OCD. I like to record an episode, then fully edit it, and then upload it. That way everything's done and I don't get anything mixed up. It takes a few hours to do that, but that's okay. I'm done ranting now, I think, so we're going to get talking about the podcast at hand. The reason why you're here. You're not just here to listen to me talk about certain crap. You're here to listen to me talk about Joe's Apartment. Today's episode. This movie came out in 1996. It's a comedy musical. It's got an hour and 20-minute runtime. The copy I'm watching is actually free on YouTube, so definitely go check it out there if you want to. I saw it on a different streaming apps, but I forget which ones now. And you can rent it on YouTube if you want as well, but I don't know why you would when there's a free copy. You can also watch it on Apple TV and Amazon Prime, but you're going to be paying $5 for those. So why not just watch it for free on YouTube? Just saying. Just putting that out there. Everybody likes to save a little bit of money, right? This movie has a 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 21% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 4.7 out of 5 on Amazon.ca. 76% of Google users have enjoyed this movie. The initial release date, July 26, 1996. And apparently had a budget of $13 million. Distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures. The description, as read from IMDb: a nice guy has just moved to New York and discovers that he must share his run-down apartment with a couple thousand singing, dancing cockroaches. This one is directed and written by John Payson. Apparently he was the director for the 1992 Joe's Apartment short, which I actually have not seen the short before, so I should definitely check that out. I believe this was like an MTV movie, or like I believe the next thing that I'm actually going to mention that he's worked on. In 1992, this was actually the last thing he worked on. Did he pass away, or did he just stop doing stuff? Apparently, it looks like he just stopped doing stuff. In 1992, he was the producer for 10 episodes of Liquid Television. I'm trying to remember. I could probably look it up, but let me know down in the comments. I'm pretty sure Liquid Television was MTV before MTV was MTV, if that's correct. Maybe I'm thinking about the wrong thing. Maybe Liquid Television was just a thing on MTV. I could be wrong. I thought MTV had a different name before it was called MTV. Maybe I'm thinking of something. Maybe I'm thinking about Twitch, because Twitch was Justin TV. That's probably what I'm thinking about, to be honest with you. Maybe Liquid Television was a show on MTV. So I'm assuming Liquid Television, I personally don't know anything about it. I've heard of it before, but I think it was a different shorts for each episode, and sometimes they got picked up to be made into movies. I think that's what the Joe's Apartment short is. He was also part of the animation department for a TV show in 1989 called Just Say Julie, and in 1988 he was a producer for the opening segment of the TV show Remote Control, which I've never even heard of. He's done some MTV stuff. He was in another MTV show, TV series called The Big Picture, which I don't know anything about. So I don't think this guy really went on to do too much, because he's only got 4 producer roles, 6 director roles, and 3 writing credits. So let's just jump over to the cast members. A couple of the cast members we're going to talk about. The first one we're going to talk about is the lead, who is Joe, played by Jerry O'Connell. Of course, you would know him as Vern from 1986 Stand By Me. He's also Charlie Carbone in 2003's Kangaroo Jack. I remember renting that on a VHS tape. But if I remember correctly, I think the VHS tape was orange. I thought that was a really cool aspect, because the only other orange VHS tape I could remember at the time was, I think, a Rugrats movie. That's going back a long time now. He was also in 69 episodes from 1995 to 1999, playing the character Quinn Mallory and Garth Carr in the TV show Sliders, which I don't know anything about. He's also Derek in 1997's Scream 2. He's also in 2 episodes of Solar Opposites in 2023 and 2025. He's also in the short Spilled Milk in 2025. And he's in 50 episodes from 2020 to 2024 of Star Trek Lower Decks. I haven't watched that at all, but I'm surprised that he's in 50 episodes. Apparently he's done some other Star Trek stuff, because he was in Star Trek Strange New Worlds in 2023 as well. Next character we're going to talk about is Meg Ward, who's playing the character of Lily Dogtree. She was Robin Sweeney in 1992's California Man. She was Kimberly Sayers for 18 episodes from 1996 to 1997 of a TV show called Dark Skies. Don't know anything about that one. She was also Alex Manning in 1983's Arcade. And I don't know, it seems like a pretty common thing for like actors that I watch in these early horror comedy style movies. But from 2007 to 2020, she's in 366 episodes of General Hospital, playing Connie Falcornier and Kate Ward. I don't know how these shows do like 2 characters for 1 character, like 1 actual person, but maybe they're twins. I don't know. I guess not, probably because by the last names. But I don't know a damn thing about General Hospital, and I don't want to know a damn thing about it either. So the tagline for this movie, not very creative at all, but I guess this comments to earlier comments on it. The tagline is MTV's first movie. That's it. That's all, folks. Nothing else. Nothing at all. So yeah, I guess Liquid Television was a short TV show, or a short compilation of shows, and then they picked one and made it into a movie. It's all MTV based. So apparently, the trivia: the CGI roach scenes were filmed using the same graphic effects engine from Terminator 2: Judgment Day 1991 and Jurassic Park 1993. That's interesting, I guess. So the roaches should look pretty good then, I guess. That being said, let's get started on the movie at hand. I should have gave you a warning earlier. I know, I'm bad at it. I'm bad at my job. This movie's from 1996. I'm going to be talking about it from start to finish and hitting all the points in between that interest me. So that means this is going to be a very spoiler-heavy episode. like every episode of the podcast is, because every episode has the same format. So if you don't want to be spoiled, feel free to, pause it now, go watch it for free on YouTube, then come back and listen to me talk about the movie. Or just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie, and then you'll either really want to go see it, or you'll be okay with avoiding it at all costs. I leave that judgment call up to you at the end of this episode. If you make it to the end, hopefully you do. There's a reward at the end if you do. You get to know what next week's episode is. Guess I shouldn't have told you the reward, because then you don't have to listen to the end of the episode, huh? I didn't think that one through. Just forget that you ever heard that part, and I'm going to leave it in, though, because I could edit it out, and I don't want to. But with that being said, if you're home, hopefully you're relaxed, hopefully you're comfy. If you're listening at nighttime before going to bed, cool, I appreciate it. If you're listening anytime during the day, cool, I appreciate it. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day. And I know most of you guys and gals and ghouls go listen in the car as you're driving to work or going out to groceries or traveling or whatever it might be. Just keep your eyes on the road. Hopefully the weather's decent for you, and hopefully you'll stick around to check out the next episode next week. You should. It's probably gonna be a fun one. I don't even know what it is yet, but you should definitely stick around to find out.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
when we at MTV decided to make our first movie, we knew the kind of hero America was yearning for. Someone young, fearless, and resourceful. A survivor. We came up with Ralph.
Give me a kiss, babe. When Joe came to town, he got the typical welcome.
Hands up, Pinhead!
No job.
How am I supposed to get a job looking like this?
No girlfriend.
Lily.
So we greeted him with open arms.
My first place.
All 6 of them.
You can toss.
Sure. And what do we get for it? He hates our cat. Let's have ourselves a little rodeo. Leaves food everywhere. Very appetizing, Joe. And lives like a total slob. He's a natural pest. Yeah, he's perfect.
This summer, we cordially invite you to spend the night at Joe's apartment. The party never ends. The dates never stay.
I wouldn't mind fondling her. Personally, I'm a leg man.
And the surf's always up. Joe's apartment. Sex, bugs, and rock and roll. What more would you expect from MTV?
What do you say we all go out to the snack bar?
Alright, let's get started the movie at hand. Of course, we see the intro credits slowly coming in. First off, an NTV movie. We just see like New York City off in the distance. And it's got this like comedy style music playing, talking about a city boy coming in. So we hear the song playing. We zoom in on the Statue of Liberty and go up to the flame. And then the song, or the voice in the song completely changes, because it's a cockroach on top of the flame singing the whole time, and then the whole theme and style and song of the music just completely changes, gets all wacky and crazy. You feel like you're in a cartoon now. We got Joe's apartment font coming right up on the screen, pretty decent font, and then we see some CGI cockroaches flying all around New York City. The cockroaches start singing about how everything's fun, life's free, because they just take it whatever they want because they're cockroaches, and how they've been around for 100 million years, and they're going to keep being around in the apartment that Joe lives in because, they're cockroaches. They're never going to go away. And then as the song's ending, this cockroach starts flying closer and closer to like a Greyhound bus. And we can just assume that something's going to happen there because we see this bus, it's a Cabney bus, but it's essentially a Greyhound bus. And of course, Joe is on that bus. We see him getting off the bus. He's carrying a bunch of boxes, carrying a bunch of bags. He's got his guitar in hand, and then he's starting to narrate, being like, "Dear Mom, I got to New York safe and sound." And then this robber comes out of nowhere. He's like, "Hands up!" And just starts punching Joe in the face, drops him to the ground. And then Joe's looking around all confused, being like, "Well, where'd my stuff go?" So then he grabs what little bit of stuff he has left, and then he's like, "Dear Mom," again. "I made it to New York." And then he gets robbed again as he walks past another bus. And then he goes to narrate again, be like, "Dear Mom." And then a gun guy comes out, and Joe just puts his hands up in there, and he's like, "Please send money. Just, Mom, please send money. I'm going to die here." And then we see he's living in the East Village, where this population number just keeps going up and up and up. And then we see him narrate and be like, Mom, don't worry, just keep sending me money, and I will pay you back. Of course I'm going to find a job. You know, I'm a college graduate. You know, I'm definitely going to be able to find a job. But first I got to find an apartment. And then he's going around looking at apartments, and this one's $1,500, and there's no ceiling. And then he goes to another one, which is just falling down the same way. The paint's all gone, and Joe actually falls through the floor a bit. He's like, it's $1,100 a month. And he's just going around to various slummy looking neighborhoods and trying to find an apartment, any apartment that he can afford. And as he's walking down this street, he actually sees a dead body on the floor or on the ground, and there's blood all over the place. And he starts poking the guy, being like, "Mister, you okay?" And the guy actually sits up. And then when the guy sits up, he looks at his stopwatch, and he's been laying there for 2 days and 47 minutes and whatever crap. And he's like, "That's how long I've been laying there." And Joe's like, "You okay?" He's like, "Of course I'm not." Anyways, he was just doing that as like a little art exhibit, I guess. He wanted to show how cold and how ruthless the city was. And Joe's like, "So nobody touched you for 2 days?" He's like, "Well, you know, spitting doesn't count. Like, I got spit on a lot, but, you know, that doesn't count." Then as we're sitting in this coffee shop, Joe pulls up the newspaper to look for an apartment. And the guy's like, "So you're looking for an apartment, huh?" He's like, "Yeah, something for like $100 a month." And then the guy just spits out his coffee, be like, Hey, everyone, Junior over here is looking for a rent-controlled apartment. There's no such things in New York City as that. What's going on here?" And everyone else is laughing at him in the little diner too. And he's like, "Yeah, you're not gonna find those. Those are hard to find because, you know, nobody wants to leave them because of how cheap the rent is." He's like, "You know, the only time people leave them is when the landlord wants to get the tenant a little out at the door." And then we see this slummy apartment building where it's the only building standing. Everything else around it has fallen apart. And then we see these guys fully dressed in black walk into his apartment, and they're setting up a tripwire at the top of the stairs. And then this old lady comes out, and we just see her falling down probably 6 set of stairs all the way down. It's the curved stairs too that keep rotating around. And then next thing you know, she's falling over the balcony somehow, or the stairwell, and falls straight to the floor. And the guys are watching me like, "Yeah, we did a good job, yeah." But then the lady gets up and dusts off her jacket like nothing ever happened, and just goes back into her, you know, day job. And the one guy's like, "They're always tougher than they look." And then we find out this lady is Mrs. Krotowski because Joe and the other guy are walking by. And as soon as she walks out on the front step, she croaks and throws her keys. And the guy's like, "Well, Joe, Mrs. Krotowski doesn't have any family. She threw you the keys. You could take her apartment." And then the guy starts freaking out, being like, "Joe, your mother, and she's dead on the sidewalk. Joe, I guess it's your apartment now." And everyone's looking around and be like, "Joe, eh? This is your apartment now, huh? Guess we gotta kill you next." And then we see Joe walking in the front door with a box of stuff, and he's looking around all happy and excited. And this place is horrible looking. It's a slum of an apartment, but we hear the cockroaches talking, be like, "Who's this guy? What's this guy?" And then they're talking about how, like, you know, he's got luggage, and they're like, "Oh, great, another stupid human being." And they're in like slippers, and they're making the slippers talk. They're in a open can on the floor, making the can talk. So then we see him picking up a piece of toast that's on a plate on the table, and he flips it over, and he sees a cockroach on the other side that's like, "Uh-oh." And he's like, "You're the greasiest, ugliest bug I ever seen." And then the cockroach flies away. So he's like, "I'll eat the toast anyways." And then we see 2 of the cockroaches talking in the hole in the wall. And he's like, hey, Paul, did you see that compliment? He called me greasy. That's the nicest compliment I've gotten in a really long time. And then we see Joe just trying random alcohol on the shelves, and 2 cockroaches are in another alcohol bottle, and they're just watching from his point, like their point of view, watching Joe try different drinks that he's just seeing on the shelves. And then next thing you know, we see the apartment changing just slightly, a little bit more garbage adding here and there, a couple signs adding up on the wall. And then Joe's laying on the couch being like, "Hey mom, you know, I'll find a job soon, you know, look how easy it was for me to find an apartment, you know, it was no big deal." And then the 2 guys that tried to kill the old lady are at the door, and they're listening to him being like, "Thought his mom was dead." So they start banging on the door, being like, "Landlord's here." So he starts freaking out, being like, "Hi guys." So the 2 guys at the door are Jesus and Vladimir, and they're apparently cousins. One's black, one's white. And Joe makes the comment, being like, "You guys are cousins? Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, we're cousins. I knew your mom. She never once talked about you. Pay out the rent now." Then we see Joe on the bus, and he's narrating again, being like, "Thanks for another loan, Mom. I'm still on the lookout. I'm just on the lookout for something really good." And while he's on the bus, that's when he sees Lily for the first time in her little alley playing with her flowers. And he gets so close to the window that he smashes his face off of it. Then Joe's dancing around his apartment with headphones on, listening to his Walkman, and we hear a lady screaming, and we can see her at the window hanging, and she falls all the way down. So then he's like calling 911, and we just see him switching positions in the apartment because the waiting system for the 911 in New York City apparently is so long. And then we just cut to the 911 offices. And it's crowded, just full of people, paperwork all over the place, and just everyone answers phone like, hello, please hold, hello, please hold, hello, please hold. And then he finally gets through, and of course it's Lily is the receptionist on the other end. And then Lily's like, wow, this is the worst call I've had all day. Please hold, because then the clock changes, and this lady screams, coffee break time. So everyone's just like, all right, we're gone. We're gone for a bit. We're gone for a coffee break. Please hold, just wait. And apparently that garden area is outside of the work office because she's in the little alleyway watering her plants because her watering bucket is beside her desk. And then a coworker whose name blank comes out being like, wow, this garden's on fire, this is looking great, girl. So apparently he was calling the city department because he also mentioning how he had no hot water, no power. He wanted to mention that people are falling out of the window. I guess he gave up on 911, and she's complaining that she's just tired of just working at this like job where all she has to do is put people on hold, never have to deal with anything, never have to help anyone. And then Blank's like, why don't you go work for your dad? And if this is the right character, her dad is very well off, very rich, and he's well dressed in a suit, sitting on the windowsill, looking down at the city because he's up there. I don't know how many floors he's up there, but he's up there. And then he opens up his suit, and he's wearing women's lingerie underneath it. And then Vladimir, Jesus or whatever, come in as well, and their boss is coming in too, Alberto Bianco, the family member. Apparently maybe their dad. He's Asian though, so I'm not sure if he is the dad. I guess they're cousins. It's a weird family. But anyways, he's the guy that owns the whole apartment building, and he's letting the guy know, be like, yes, my second to last tenant has just left the building. And the guy's like, I hope they'll enjoy the condo you got them in Florida. He's like, yeah, sure. And Alberto's like, yeah, my last tenant, we gave him the word. He's going to be on his way out soon. And I believe the main guy in the office is Walter Shit. Yeah, Walter Shit is the character's name. He's like, good. And then the U.S. government will own the last building and we can demolish it. That way we can build a super mega giant complex. Then we see the scene that wouldn't go in modern day movies just because of how everything is nowadays. We see Lily and Blank walking down the street, and Lily's like, oh, these kids they're playing the debris of what used to be a building, they're going to get hurt. And Blank's like, yeah, I used to play in that kind of area all the time, get cuts and scratches. So then Lily goes to the kids being like, oh, hey kids, what you guys building? And they both turn and we're making a crack house. And they literally have a bunch of used needles, and they're making almost like a card house essentially. It's just a bunch of needles stacked all together. Yeah, that wouldn't happen in a modern day movie. Can't see it happening. Then we see Joe knocking over his noodles, and he's sleeping on the couch, and then the cockroaches go into the noodles. It reminds me of the noodles from Lost Boys. Then the cockroaches start talking about Joe and be like, he never washes, he's never cleans, he's just a slob. And you know what, guys? I think we're in love because we love Joe. And then all the windows in the apartment start to break, and then Jesus and Vladimir come into the apartment, and they're just breaking everything, smashing everything, and then the cockroaches go over to Joe, and they're like, hey, we're gonna keep you safe, Joe. And Joe's looking around confused, being like, who's talking to me? And then he's hiding underneath the blankets. So then Vladimir and Jose are looking for him and being like, where is he? So they rip off the blanket, and we see a bunch of cockroaches all over Joe's face, and they all start forming together to try and fight off the two guys, and they're talking to them at the same time, be like, you guys aren't going to be able to stand us, we're going to fight. And then Vladimir just pulls out his machine gun and just starts shooting at cockroaches. And then we see a hole in the wall, and one of the cockroaches is like, I'm off to that big dumpster into the sky. And then he pops out of the hole being like, hey, stupid, you missed. And Jesus pulls out his pistol and tries to shoot, but nothing comes out. And a cockroach comes out of it being like, it's a roach killer, get it? And then the guys start freaking out and dropping their guns. And then they start looking around, and then they're just swarmed by millions and millions of cockroaches. And then we see them both on the ground, and they're crying. Well, Jesus is crying. And one of the cockroaches is the leader. He's like, hey, Hansel and Gretel, you leave our buddy alone. We know where you live, and we'll come kick your ass. So then both of them just run out of the apartment screaming. And then like another cockroach is holding one of their shoelaces and makes them trip. And the two guys fall all the way down all the stairs. And they're like, "Oh, you're leaving so soon? Oh, it's a shame to see you leave, buddy." And then Joe's all scared and freaked out. He tries hitting a couple of the cockroaches with shoes. And the one cockroach is on the shoe be like, "Hey, buddy, that's no way to treat your friends." And Joe starts realizing that the cockroaches can talk. And the cockroaches are like, "Talk? We can sing." So then we break into a musical about garbage. They're singing about how much they love sewage and they love garbage in the moonlight and how they love being in a roach motel, making love with their other roaches, just to reproduce more roaches. And I guess Joe loves listening to the cockroaches because he kind of lays back down on the couch and they start covering up with his blankets and they start puffing up his pillow. And next thing we know, we see him falling asleep to them singing. I do love some of the point of view, like the POV camera shots, because we see like the welcoming sign outside the front door and we see like a cockroach point of view walking underneath it. And we see that Joe's actually sleeping on maybe a sheet on the floor. He wakes up all confused being like, "Oh, what a night. What did I dream about?" So then he sits down to have some cereal. And when he's pouring the cereal, a bunch of cockroaches come out, but he's not paying any attention to it at all. So then he starts pouring some milk in the cereal as he's looking at the paper, and then the cockroach is like, we're up already, all right. So then Joe goes to eat the cereal, and he has a spoonful with two cockroaches in it, and they, we see a point of view of his mouth opening as the spoon gets closer and closer, but he keeps getting distracted by the comic strip in the paper, and then he puts the spoon in his mouth, and he's like, "Oh, nope, that's not good." So then he pulls the spoon back out and he's like, "Morning, Joe. My name's Ralph Roach. How's it going today, buddy?" So Joe's like, "How many of you guys are in this area?" And the one cockroach pops up on his shoulder. He's like, "In this apartment, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 or so, give or take." Then Joe tries to like hit the table. I'm not sure if he's trying to hit a cockroach. I'm assuming he was. But anyways, he goes, misses the cockroach, and then a pot hits him in the head and knocks him to the ground. And the cockroach is like, "Hey, how about you try not to kill us? We just saved your life last night. So, how about, us in the slums together, we live together, we survive together, huh? How about that, Joe, hey?" So then Joe goes to leave the apartment because he's tired of listening to the cockroaches. So then Ralph is like, "Hey, I think we should keep an eye on Joe in case he needs our help. I don't think he can survive in the city." And then we see various items in the house talking. One's it's like a Jesus light that's plugged into the wall and it keeps lighting up as it talks. But another thing is like the lady's dentures are in like a jar of goo, and they start talking as well for a cockroach. And then we see Joe is a pizza delivery guy, and every time he drops off a pizza, it's full of cockroaches. So he gets fired the first day. Then we just see him working at a bunch of various jobs, and he gets fired from every single one because the cockroaches are trying to help him, but they're literally just getting him fired every single time. So then we see Joe, he knocks over a drink, he's asleep, and the roaches go over the drink, and as they're drinking, we see a reflection of a cat, and the one roach is like, "Joe, Ralph, don't be worried. I think we're in a little bit of a situation. Our feared enemy has somehow gotten into the house, and there is now a giant cat inside," and they start screaming for Joe to help them, but Joe's still fast asleep. So then the cat pins one roach down the corner, and he tries to do some stand-up comedy to try and, make the cat relax, and being like, "Real hard neighborhood, huh? Anyone from Jersey? No? What exit?" And then we see this cabinet door open, and this cockroach comes out with a lasso and a cowboy hat on, and he's just passing through. He's like, let's do a little bit of rodeo." So then he lassos the cat's tail, and the cat starts freaking out. And then next thing we know, we see that roach riding that cat like he's on a bronco, and the roaches start singing about a cat rodeo, as the whole time Joe still is sleeping. And the cat's running around the whole apartment, just wrecking everything. We saw there's a fish bowl, and then it gets knocked over, and then the fish falls into Joe's mouth, and that's finally what wakes him up. He starts freaking out that there's this random goldfish in his mouth, and he stands up, and then the cat jumps right on his face, and then we just see him fighting with the cat to get off, and it's definitely, clearly, not a real cat by any means, and he just yeets it out the window, and we just hear the cat meowing, and then he just spits out the goldfish, goes right back into the fish tank, and the roaches are like, "You saved our lives. No human beings ever saved a roach's life before. We really appreciate it." And Joe's like, "Well, if you guys are so appreciative, how about you guys stop following me to work, huh? You get me fired every single time." And then the roach is like, "Yeah, of course." And we see like a talking taco, and then there's a talking fortune cookie as well. I'm not sure how the roach got inside the fortune cookie, because the fortune cookie still looks like it's full, but that's fine. So then we see Joe leaving his apartment. He's getting ready for his new job, or going to find a new job, and he's met by Walter, who has paint cans above every single door, and it's a trap. So like essentially when you walk out, the water falls on. This one is paint falls on you. And it's like instant minority. That's what he wants to do. And Joe's like, nobody's purple. And Walter gets offended. He's like, it's periwinkle. It's not purple. Then as Joe and Walter are walking down the street, we see this robber guy just shooting at some way off screen, and then he's running away. Then we see a cop show up, and he's shooting off screen off the other side, and then we just see them showing up to this spot where Joe's putting up all these signs for this band, and the band's just called Shit. And then he bumps into Lily, who's putting up signs of flowers. And then he's like, shit. She's like, it's a band. It's a band. She's like, what is? He's like, this right here. She looks around the corner. He's like, oh yeah, that's cool. He's like, I'm a drummer. We kick ass. You know, you want to kick ass? I like you. And then the sign she's putting up is for like a community garden. She wants to like make a garden for the community. She wants to have a safe area for the kids to play. And Joe's just like, that's cool. And that's when Joe offers to help Lily with her community garden project. And they finally introduce each other. And we find out, Joe, Lily, and they shake hands because I guess, they want to. So then we see Joe. It's late at night. He's sitting on top of the roof. And he's trying to write a note to Lily. He's like, I like gardening too. I can plant trees and stuff. And then one of the cockroaches pops up. Be like, tell her you like boobs. You definitely like boobs. She'll probably appreciate that you like boobs. So then Joe starts freaking out. Be like, hey, can I have some privacy here? But also, Joe's writing on like a scrap piece of paper with like a red crayon. Not a pencil crayon. Just a normal kid's crayon. Like the one that Homer would stick up his nose. And then the roach is like, you get no privacy here in New York City. We're everywhere. And then he's like, all right, fine. I won't get the privacy. How about you guys just shut up? So then they start making fun of him. For being like, oh, yeah, shut up. Telling the roaches to shut up. Telling your only friends to shut up, huh? Then Joe goes back to writing his note. And one of the cockroaches is like, tell her you want to plow her, Joe. Come on, she'll appreciate it. Tell her you want to plow her really good right now. So then he gets freaked out. He tries to punch one of the cockroaches and falls off the roof onto a fire exit. And he's sitting up. He's like, what are you guys doing? He's like, we're just giving you a neck rub, Joe. You seem really tense right now. We figured you need to relax a little bit. You just need your neck rub. So then he starts freaking out and hitting his shirt. He's like, all right, calm. We understand. You're a little bit annoyed, all right? And then we cut to Joe realizing that Lily said that she needs fertilizer. So then he's just going around to the various horse rides in New York City for like taxi cabs and stuff, picking up the horse crap, and then going around to where dogs are shitting and picking that up as well. And then apparently a traveling circus is in because we see an elephant walking by and he's picking up the elephant shit as well. And then we see him on the public bus with his giant grocery bag full of shit as everyone else is being like, oh man, this is really disgusting. Who let this guy on the bus? And then Joe's on the bus as they're driving by where Lily's little garden is, and he sees her and she gets all excited and runs over to this guy and gives him a big hug, but we can't see the guy's head because there's a flower pot in front of it, and he gets all upset being like, oh, she's got a man, but really it's her hugging her father. So then we see Lily sitting down with her father, the senator, which I didn't realize until now. It's just his character name is just Senator Dogtree. That's all it is. And I must have missed it because I thought he was building like a big high-rise apartment complex or something. Apparently he's building a prison in the center of East Village. And Lily's like, why are you building that? He's like, well, why not? It's an open space. And why not just build it there? It's bad neighborhood anyway, so it's not going to make it any worse. And then Lily gets all pissed off and just storms out of her little lunch date that she was having with her father. So then Joe, being all upset because he saw Lily hugging another man, he brings the whole bag of manure home, and all the cockroaches are like, he loves us. What's that lovely smell? He really loves us. So we see Joe sitting down at the table going through the mail. It's a bunch of junk mail. He's got a message or a note from his mom. Apparently, she got him an interview at Smith & Son, and because apparently the guy that runs it was like a childhood friend. And we find out this company is a company that the cockroaches really like because this company makes all the shitters for New York City. So let me see Joe sitting down with Mr. Smith, who was the childhood friend of his mom. And he's like, I remember your mom really well. She was the hottest cheerleader for the Bullfrogs back then. Does she still wear her hair up in a certain way? Does she still have that certain, sparkle in her eyes? Does her hips still go ba-ba, ba-ba, back to forth, Does she got that certain movement still? And Joe starts freaking out because, all these questions about his mom. And then Smith just starts looking at his list being like, your mom ever give you a sponge bath by chance? I'm just curious. I just want to know. And then we see Joe starting work the next day. He's in like a hazmat suit and he's getting ready to go to a certain spot to clean a toilet. he's coming out of the subway system, and he's looking up at the building that he needs to clean, and it's Yankee Stadium. And then we just see him getting home from work, and he's completely exhausted and annoyed with his job, pretty much by the looks of it. And then Joe's looking at the Roach and being like, what are you guys watching? We're watching the Roach channel. And he's like, you guys have your own TV channel? And we just see him, or see them, I should say, watching the Roach No-Tell Motel, and it's cockroach porn, I guess. So then Joe goes to lay on his bed and opens up a comic book to read, and then one of the cockroaches pokes his head through where the girl's head should be, and they're like, hey, Joe, you doing okay? You know, you seem a little depressed or something. What's up, bud? He's like, well, you know, my job sucks. I don't have a girl. I'm living in a cockroach-infested apartment. Yeah, my life's great. And then it's the next day, and we see everyone starting to work on the community center a little bit, and we see, like, I guess Lily painted, or somebody for the community painted a sign. Above half looks, we see Joe's apartment, and everything around it destroyed like it is now. And then the next, how they want it to look, is still Joe's apartment there, but a nice park community center all around it. And of course, she's fighting with her dad for the same area, so that's why she's so upset about everything. So then Joe shows up with his bag of manure that already has plants growing in it, and apparently it's Lily's favorite plant, because it's only like a certain plant that grows in a certain area that moist conditions, and the cockroaches are actually what helped make the plant grow a little bit, because they showed him the night before. He's like, yeah, so I'm glad you like it. Hopefully it helps the garden a little bit. So Joe's also in his toilet cleaning attire, and she's like, what's this? And he's like, he just tries to come up with a fake reason for it. And she's like, well, I thought you were in a band. She's like, yeah, I still am. It's just, I got bills and stuff to pay, and So he turns around, and she pulls out a urinal puck out of his backpack. He's like, well, that's a gardening thing. It helps with the mulch and stuff. Can I have that back? Because, she's a girl, so she's never seen a urinal puck before. She's like, well, can you get a bunch of these for the gardening? He just dumps out his bag, and 50 of them fall out. He's like, yeah, here you go. Just take them all. I'm sure they'll definitely help the garden. And then we see the Roaches watching Alternative Life with Cockroaches, and it's a subspecies, talk show where a roach is a host, and there's a pigeon, there's a squirrel, and there's a rat, and they're all trying to figure out how to communicate and get along with each other, and then a fight just breaks out. So then Joe's like, all right, guys, I got a date tonight. I want you guys all to disappear. I don't want you being around at all. It's like, your place is disgusting, and why the hell are you bringing a lady back to your place for a date? Maybe just go out. I know you're probably broke. That's probably why you're coming back. Anyways, he pulls out a big slab of meat, being like, all right, this is your guys's, but you gotta stay the frig away when it's my date tonight, all right? And then we just see that the cockroaches destroy the meat down to the bone in 2 seconds. So then Ralph Roach, who's voiced by Billy West, I don't know why I didn't say that earlier, he's like, all right, this is Joe's first date. Let's make it special. And they're like, yeah, great idea. So I'm not sure if they're going to make it, make his apartment cleaner, or if they're just going to wreak havoc. And then we see Joe showing up to work, and we see Smith being wheeled out on his office chair by a bunch of officers. And he's like, Joe, it's a hostile work takeover. They're going to shut down the whole urinal cake division, Joe. So I guess Smith didn't work with just the toilets. I thought maybe he was developing different toilets. Apparently he just develops the urinal cakes, and his whole business is just going to the shitters, essentially. So then we cut to this underground bar where shit is getting ready to play. That's Walter's band, where they decide to put Joe on drums, and apparently Joe's never played drums before, because he just starts hitting the drums very slowly, and Walter looks around being all confused. So then Walter takes the mic. He's like, I'm sorry guys, apparently there's no actual hard rock and roll left, because this is all that's left. He points at Joe, and everyone starts laughing at Joe. And that's when he then looks up and he sees Lily watching from the balcony area. He's like, shit. And then he just tries to leave the club altogether. Then Lily catches up to him and she's like, well, maybe you can just keep with your banker job then, Why don't you just stay with that? And he's like, I'm not a banker. I'm not a drummer. Hell, I can't even keep a job as a urinal cake collector. I'm just useless. And she's like, well, maybe you'll find a new job. And he's like, why are you hanging around here anyways? Why aren't you going out with your boyfriend? Then Lily's like, what boyfriend are you talking about? He's like, the guy I saw you in the garden kissing? And he's like, he's probably home kissing my mother. And he looks over confused. She's like, it's my dad, you dork. So then as they're walking down the street, she's like, the garden's all planted, and I just gotta make sure it starts blooming. That way I can show my dad, something good can still happen in the community. And then Joe's like, you wanna come over to my place? And then a car goes by and just splashes him with mud. He's like, I got a towel you can use. And then we just see his house, and the sink is overflowing, and then the toilet is bubbling like a green water, and then we see the towel moving a bit, and then we break out into another musical with the cockroaches. And this song is all about a funky towel, and then the towel falls off the hanging rack and falls directly into the toilet, and then the cockroaches start playing on the towel in the toilet, make it a little bit deeper in that toilet water. And Joe bursts into the washroom and be like, just make yourself comfortable, I'm gonna get you a towel. And then he realizes the cockroaches are all singing and dancing, and he talks to the toilet because they're in the toilet singing, using that as a pool, being like, what are you guys doing? He's like, well, we're having a party. What do you think we're doing, Joe? He's like, I need you guys to get out of here. I've got a date. So then Joe goes out to Lily in the living room with paper towels, being like, my towels are all in the laundry right now, so this is the best I got. Then we see the cockroaches moving around the apartment a little bit, and they're lighting candles for Joe. Then they turn on the music a little bit, trying to set up that mood so Joe can get laid. And one of the roaches pops out of his pocket, being like, hey, Joe, I think you're going to need this condom, buddy. Also, while they're sitting on the couch and everything, there's a light system behind the couch, which is really interesting. It looks like Joe made a bunch of lights out of Mr. Cups of Noodles or something along those lines. Then we see Joe and Lily getting closer to kissing. And the roaches are on this lamp above them. It's got this glass that paints up to the ceiling. It swings. It's on like a rope. Anyways, all the cockroaches are pretty much in that, and it's starting to swing back and forth. And as soon as they get ready to kiss, all the cockroaches fall on them. Lily freaks out, and she just starts running away. And then as she's running down the sidewalk, she looks over where her garden is, and the whole thing is destroyed. And there's little sets of fires all over the place, and the plants are all ripped out. And she starts freaking out, being like, yeah, my father's right. This neighborhood sucks. Then as Joe's walking back to his apartment, all sad and depressed, the cockroach is like, Joe, really didn't mean to do that. Really sorry there, buddy. You want a beer, bud? And Joe's like, she's never going to want to talk to me ever again. And then one of the cockroaches is like, hey, look on the bright side. You always got us, though. So Joe's like, I'm going to kill every single last one of you guys. And he leaves the apartment, slams the door. Then the cockroach is like, well, I guess this means war then, I guess, guys. So then Joe pops open the door again, and he's dressed like Rambo with a bug bomb. And he just throws the bug bomb down on the floor. And then we see the cockroaches just squirming all over the place. But, they're cockroaches, so I'm not really sure if a bug bomb's going to really kill them. Then Joe gets pissed off because his statue, this is like a war that he won as a kid. The head falls off of it, gets destroyed. So then he starts throwing these other little bug bomb things, but I have no idea what they are. Anyways, then Joe gets knocked to the ground and gets knocked out, and then we see him waking up in a black suit with some like funeral music playing, and the cockroaches have him all tied up. And he's like, all right, Joe, can we talk for a little bit now? Are you gonna calm down a little bit so we can discuss things? And then Joe starts saying how disgusting the cockroaches are. And then the cockroaches are like, you humans aren't much better. War, all the other slave stuff. You guys are going to blame us for that, huh? Right? Cockroaches are like, we let you listen to us. We weren't going to talk and let you have the ability to listen. But, seeing that that we could talk, we can't let you leave knowing this now. So we're going to have to kill you. But at the same time they're doing this, we see Vladimir and Jose outside in the building pouring gas on all the stairs to burn the whole building up. So Vladimir sets the building on fire, and then we see the front door bursting off, and the cockroaches go to run away. And then Joe's yelling for Ralph and Rodney Roach to be like, come on, guys, you got to help me. The building's going up in flames here. So then we see Joe get free. He's still like wrapped around with the wires and stuff, but he's hopping out. He actually falls down all the stairs and just hops out the front door. Well, tumbling out the front door, I should say. And he's still got like string and everything tied around him. And then it's like the next morning we see debris of the whole entire building. Still little flames here and there. Then we see this new sign for the maximum security prison, and then there's a bunch of garbage bags in front of it. And we see the garbage bag moving, and it's actually Joe ripping through the garbage bag to get out of the garbage bag. It's like, so somebody actually bagged him up over the time that he was passed out last night. And then we see Joe using the payphone to call Lily's work and try to get a hold of her. And it's her, but she looks different. She's like smoking, and she looks like she's having a really rough day. And she's like, Lily's sick, yeah. And Joe's like, will she be back? She's like, Lily's sick of her job, sick of New York City, sick of all this other crap. And Joe's like, Lily, is that you? He's like, no, Lily quit. And hangs up the phone. And then Lily runs out of the office. So then we see Joe yelling at the debris of his apartment building. He's like, Ralph, Ronnie, you can keep this stupid freaking city. I'm going back to Iowa. And then Vladimir comes up behind him. He's like, here's a souvenir, and punches him right in the face and knocks him out. It's later that night we see Ralph and Rodney coming out of the sewer. And they're like, places of debris. I wonder where Joe is. And they're like, I'm sure he's around here somewhere. And they find Joe passed out in the debris and try to go wake him up. But they're like, we gotta help him out somehow. And then the roaches all start like getting on Joe's body, being like, we never give up. We survived the dinosaurs. We survived poison and prosecution and everything else. We never die. We're gonna come back stronger. And Ralph's like, I don't care. We got to call in every roach in the city, every rat and every pigeon. We're not giving up on Joe, and we're going to rebuild. And there's also a montage of them, the roaches, I should say, changing various paperwork, voiding things out, opening up different flower shops, stealing a bunch of flowers. And then we see this point of view from the sky where we just see a bunch of flowers making their way down the main streets in New York, all confused. And then we see this homeless guy who's got urinal pucks, and it's actually Smith. He's living by the ocean or by the river, and he's got a bunch of urinal pucks that he's burning. And he's got the giant Smith urinal behind him, and the roaches decide to steal that, and they take it to where the garden area was, and they put it in this like swampy water, and then the water just changes to blue, and then grass starts growing out everywhere, and the whole garden just comes back alive like it was nothing. And then a gazebo pops up out of nowhere too. And the whole time all these changes are happening, Joe is still passed out in the middle of the area, and the grass is growing above him and everything else, and he doesn't notice a damn thing because he's still knocked out from that punch. And then Joe's waking up, and it's like 2 days later at this point in time. And he's all confused looking around. We see a bunch of cockroaches surfing on a cigarette in the sewer pipes. And there's a little pond, too, that has a water fountain, which is just a toilet. Maybe it wasn't a cigarette they were surfing on. Maybe it was this paperwork that falls out of the tree that the roach put in there. And it's wrapped up and rolled up, so I'm assuming maybe that was what they were surfing on, because it's the deed for the land. And then we see a limo showing up, and Center's in it. He's like, honey, are you sure this is the right lot? Lily's in the limo, and she gives off the address. He's like, yeah, I see that's the right address. And he's like, I could have swore this was an empty lot. And she takes off her sunglasses looking outside, and she's all shocked because now it's a full-on garden. And she runs out to go take a look at it, and she's looking at it. And then we see a bunch of piles of cockroaches coming up, and it makes a giant body. And then we see them writing on the ground that Joe loves you, and she's all shocked and confused, being like, what's going on here? Then as the cockroaches go down the sewer system, she starts walking away, and he's like, hi Lily, I got this piece of paper for you. It's the deed for the area. I hope it's okay. I hope everything looks nice. And then the senator pops up, and he's like, Lily, you're right. This park will definitely do more for the neighborhood than a high security prison. I guess you're right this time. Then we see the Biancos showing up, Jesus, Vladimir, and Alberto, and this old lady's walking by, so Jesus, I think, strips the old lady. And then they're like, what's going on? What's this place? We got to kill this two-time senator. Like, what's all these people doing here? Why are all these people here? They enjoying this area too much. So Alberto wants to kill pretty much everyone. And then the cockroaches show up and be like, hey, Mr. Suit. And they look down, their legs are covered with cockroaches, so they can't move. He's like, how about we show you this new trick? And then they all disappear, and there's a manhole cover gone, and then the three of them just fall down into the sewers, and they put the manhole cover back on and be like, all right, have fun, guys. So we see Joe at Lily's apartment. He's relaxing in this claw-footed bathtub. He's got like the scrubbing bar, and then this little toy boat appears, and it's Ralph being like, hey, you're pretty much in her place. This could pretty much be your pet. Why don't you, go bone her and, seal the deal. And then Joe's like, you know what, Ralph, thanks for everything. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry for the little miscommunication that we had. He's like, all right, how about a little bit of privacy? And then Ralph's like, hey, just take my bit. And then we see Joe just starting to drown Ralph and sink the ship. Ralph's got a little captain's hat on too that I noticed. So then Joe tries to take the blanket from Lily, be like, yeah, I can make a bed. He's like, I can make the couch in the bed. She's like, hi, have you ever made a bed before? And then they fall on the couch together, sleeping on the couch together, apparently. And then the cockroaches all come out, being like, what a pad. This is a sweet pad. We could definitely live here. And then we see the cockroaches singing like a church kind of theme song. And then Joe's like, Lily, I want to say I'm sorry for, what happened in my apartment. And my friends are sorry too. And she's like, I never thought I'd say this, but your friends are kind of cute, I guess. Then we see Joe and Lily rolling around on the floor, making out. And then Lily at one point in time, she's like, yeah, that tickles, Joe. And then we look down at our feet, and one of the cockroaches is like, yeah, tickle, 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 tickle. And then we just cut to the end of the movie as we pan out from outside. We see them still rolling around on the floor. And then the roaches start singing about Joe's apartment and how it's home sweet home. And we keep panning away farther and farther in the city. And then the outro credits start to play, and the movie is over. This is a silly movie, and I gotta say, the special effects on the cockroaches actually look really good. So it makes sense as the same machine that they used Judgment 2, Terminator 4, and for the Jurassic Park movie. The cockroaches look really well done. I don't think I would ever say that ever in a movie, but I enjoyed the comedy acts. I enjoyed like the different musicals and whatnot, and different set pieces. That was really fun, really enjoyable. It'd be something I'd probably put on again at some point in time, just for like background noise as I'm drawing. So on the Rotten scale, out of 10, I think I'd give it a solid 6.5. Yeah, 6.5 I think is good. It's a fun story. It's silly. It's just one of those stupid comedies. There's not really much meat to the story. Like, it's there. Everything flows pretty well. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the cockroaches. It's a little bit hard to discuss everything because of how much stuff happens all at once, and talk about the musicals. I would recommend for someone to check it out. I think it's a fun comedy. It's one of those period pieces, like it's MTV, and you can definitely tell it's an MTV movie. It's just like the Saturday Night Live movies. There's a special breed of comedy, I guess you could say. But it brings us to a point in time where we're going to pick what we're going to watch next week. Alright, so for next week, I'm picking something a little bit different. Well, I shouldn't say different. Something I've never watched before, that's for sure. I've never even heard of it until just scrolling through Tubi. So, like I said, this one's going to be on Tubi. Shocker, I watch a lot of movies on there. This one's from 1981. It's got an hour and 35-minute runtime. It's a horror comedy, and it's called Full Moon High. Description as read on Tubi is: a high school quarterback's life is forever changed when he joins his father on a work trip to Transylvania and is bitten by a werewolf. I like Teen Wolf. I like werewolf movies. Will this one be a good one? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I've never even heard anyone talk about this movie, so that's part of the reason why I want to watch it, because I don't know a damn thing about it. So I think it'd be a fun experience. Could bite me in the ass, just like this guy gets bit. But that's besides the point. Hopefully you guys will check that one out if you want to. Like I said, you can check it out for free on Tubi. And hopefully you guys will come back next week for another new episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode if you made it this far. It's a little bit longer of an episode, which I'm surprised. But that's alright. It's okay to have longer episodes here and there. So as always, make sure to check out the outro band, travel-based horror band, Blood Opera. If you're listening on Spotify, they're linked right into the episode each and every single time now, due to a new Spotify feature. If not, check out the links down below in the description. Find them on Spotify, Amazon Music, SoundCloud, pretty much anywhere and everywhere. And as always, check out all my links down below at Typhonstein. Find me on in all social media accounts. Check out the Rotten Views podcast page on Instagram as well. Check out the YouTube channel for all your gaming videos and all your art-related stuff and whatnot. Make sure to check out the CWC, Canadian Wrestling Championship page, and if you want to, check out the TeePublic site to buy some merch and help support the podcast. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace!
Whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood for, if not for shit?